Thanks for the introduction. Yeah, today we're going to be making a botanical lavender infused old fashioned. It'll be a bright blue color, which is really fun and really fitting for the gin. We're going to be using our Hendrick's Lunar, which is a fantastic new gin from Hendrick's. So if you've ever tried their original, you know it's got a lot of cucumber and a lot of rose. This one is their 2020 release. They released it on a full moon. It's very fitting for the title. And it's inspired by Leslie Gracie's Nighttime Blooming Greenhouse. So it'll have a lot of jasmine notes and violet, some honeysuckle, a little bit of rose, and of course like a dash of cucumber at the end. But it's very, very botanical, a little richer than their typical gin, and it's fantastic for old fashions. It's got a great body to it. We can go ahead and start tasting it, so you can at least try a little of the floral before we change it up. And so this gin is really fun. They released it at the first full moon of the year with instructions on how to moonbathe. You know, just lie under the moon, feel all the light, kind of wash away the bad vibes of 2020. And it's a really, really delicate gin for being so botanical. It's going to be a little sweeter than their previous gins as well, which is going to be fun when we add in a little Amaro later to like soften it up. They're kind of add a little bitterness, astringency to it. We're also going to be dyeing it with pea flowers. If you've ever used pea flowers before or seen purple rice at a Thai food place, that's where it gets the color from. The pea flowers are dried and they're great for dyeing, but watch out if you're wearing white. They'll definitely stain your clothes. So in your kit, we're going to start with that first. We're going to go ahead and infuse the gin. So in your kit, you'll have these pea flowers, and you'll want to use about maybe 2 tablespoons, maybe 1.5 tablespoons. And you'll go ahead and start by putting it in a little glass. There we go. Got some already in there. And this is really, really simple. Pea flowers add color to everything extraordinarily fast. You can make like colored ice cubes with them. You can add them to food, pastries, and the great thing about them is they don't change flavor. They don't change the flavor very much. Like any tea, it's gonna make it a little tiny bit like bitter or a little. Let's see, what's the word for it? It's gonna make it a little more like not quite tart, but it'll have a gentle bite to it. And what's wonderful about adding it to this gin is we talked about the sweetness a few minutes ago. It'll kind of dull that a little bit. So when you add the honey later, you won't have like this incredibly sweet drink. Now you want to go ahead and give it a little bit of stir. And you can see where it's already changing the color really quickly. And so once we pour that out.
Sorry, Carlee, I didn't catch how much gin you put in there.
Oh, I put 2 ounces of gin in here, just enough for one. But if you wanted to make a bigger batch, you can easily add like another 2 ounces, which I think I'm going to go ahead and do just so we can make a second cocktail at the end.
Then I had a question too. Which one is the pea flowers? Because we have a few bags of flowers here.
Oh yeah, the pea flowers are going to be these little dried blue.
All of it for 2?
Tips. And they're bright purple. The nice thing about the pea flowers is you can reuse them too. So if you don't put enough gin the first time or you decide you want another old fashioned, it takes little to no time the second time around. You can pour the gin in and it'll be bright blue right away. There we go. And so we'll go ahead and set this aside for a few minutes and we'll start on the syrup. So for this one, we're going to stick with that nocturnal, like moon bathing kind of theme. And we're going to use lavender to make our honey syrup for the sweetener. We're also going to be adding in a little bit of lemon. So the lemon will brighten it up. And fun fact, the lemon was actually the original peel for the old fashioned back in 1850. Okay? So it's a fun callback to a classic old fashioned. And so for the syrup, to get started, we're going to peel 2 of our lemons. just, if you don't have a peeler at home, a sharp paring knife will work. You just don't want to get too much of the like white meaty flesh underneath. You want them to be pretty thin. And when you go to put your peels in the pot, you want to kind of like press the sides of them together into the pot so that you express the oils directly into there. And water, lavender, and really take for the syrup. I always love this part. It makes the whole room smell like lemons. And then your hands smell like lemons too. It's a really lovely, lovely bonus. Second one.
Carlee, do you have any tips on how to make sure you're not getting too much of that pith, that meaty part? Because I feel like every time I peel a lemon, it's always all the pith.
It is a little tricky. I guess if you're using like a vegetable peeler, that's the best way to do it. You rarely have to worry about getting too much of the peel in there. And then if you're using a knife, a paring knife, I think I have one right here that I can use. If you're using a paring knife, if you angle it kind of gently under the peel, you can start to like get like a tiny little lip under there. And as long as you're not getting down to the actual juicy part of the lemon, you should be just fine. If you get a little too much meat, that's okay. See, like you can see a little bit where I got a little too close, but that's a-okay. We're gonna be straining it out. Oh yeah, we're gonna be straining it out at the end, so it won't be too much. You might get a little cloudiness, but it won't change the taste of the drink. You can also use the fine side of a cheese grater and just kind of zest everything into the pot as well. And that would give you a like way more robust lemon flavor, but it'll also work really well.
That's a great tip. Thanks.
Yeah, oftentimes I misplace a lot of my tools at home, so it's a fun little game of like MacGyvering cocktails. One more.
I'm sorry, could you repeat the first step? We missed that, but we got the limes.
Oh, sure.
Or lemons, yeah.
Yeah, the first step is just going to be infusing the gin. So you'll put it into a separate glass with some of your dried pea flowers. And you can add anywhere from 2 to 4 ounces of gin. And that's enough for 1 to 2 cocktails. And you'll just set it to the side. You'll give it a little stir and set it over while it steeps. So after you get your lemons all peeled or zested into your pot, you'll go ahead and take 4 to 5 of your lavender sprigs. Now, because we're going to go ahead and turn this into a tea before we add the honey, you don't really have to pull all the leaves off. You can put them directly into the pot. It makes it way easier. Four. Let's do 5 for good measure. If you want a really, really strong lavender flavor, you can always use a bit more. I tend to enjoy more lavender in mine, so I usually go for like 6 or 7. This gin is already very, very herbal, so depending on how much you want to cover up the gin flavor, you can play around with your lemon to lavender ratio. So once you've got everything in your little pot, you're going to go ahead and add 1 cup of water. And then you'll place it on the heat. So you'll want to bring this, you'll want to bring it up to a boil and then reduce it to a simmer. And this is so you don't lose too much water in the evaporation process. Bringing it to a boil will cause all of the oils and flavors to come out of the ingredients that we put in there, without them kind of getting bitter or too overpowered. And the reason we are boiling these first instead of adding the honey directly to it is because of that evaporation process. So if we were to add the honey, the water would start evaporating a little quicker, and you would lose the chance to add the flavor to the honey. This way, we're going to be adding the hot water directly to the honey, and so everything kind of stays together. You don't lose any flavors. Now, while that's heating up, you can go ahead and measure out your honey. And I believe on the instructions that we sent out with this kit, you're going to do 8 ounces by weight, which comes to about 3/4 of a cup of honey, I believe. I'll go ahead and weigh it so I can give y'all a exact amount. And this is just a regular old natural honey. Doesn't have to be anything particular. I really love orange blossom honey, but wildflower honey works, especially in springtime when everybody's allergies acting up. This will be a great little herbal remedy to go along with it.
Could you repeat how much honey we need?
Sure. It's going to be 8 ounces by weight.
They got the right amount of honey in their
Got it.
Oh, perfect. In your kit, you'll have the exact amount of honey to make this syrup. So it'll be whatever honey was included in your kit plus the 1 cup of water. It looks like 8 ounces of honey by weight is also 1/2 cup of honey. Or actually, it's 1/4 cup of honey. If you ever wanted to recreate this outside of the kit. Set it right there.
That's fine.
Okay. Let's see. So let's see. The profile of this syrup is going to be really rich. It's going to be really herbal. It'll have citrus notes. So it'll be really bright, and you're going to have a little bit left over as well. What I like to use this for is golden milk. So if you put it in some steamed milk, it's a perfect little nighttime treat. Or you can add it into your teas or lattes. And at the end, I'll show you how to make one more cocktail with it as well. So let's see, our little mixture is starting to boil for a few minutes. I love that smell. So along with the syrup, we'll also be using an Amaro. This is the Amaro del Herborista. It's an Italian Amaro. It's made on the East Coast next to the, is the Asiatic Sea. And this is a 4th generation Amaro. They've been making it by hand since 1868. And it's got an amazing flavor. It's got Shanetian, it's got rhubarb, they sweeten it with honey, so it'll match our syrup really perfectly. And it'll add this bitter characteristic to the cocktail, which is really helpful because in the traditional old fashioned, you're typically adding orange bitters and Angostura bitters, which we won't be adding to this one. Let's see. So once your kind of tea mixture, should be, when you can start smelling the lemon and the lavender really strongly, you know it's about done. It doesn't take very long, and you want to be careful not to oversteep it so it doesn't get too bitter. Typically, the lavender will develop this slightly darker green color, and that's when you know it's done. Yeah, a minute or 2 left. Right. So once it's pretty hot and a little bubbly, we'll take it off the heat. Mix mix it into your honey. Now you don't want to get any of the herbs or peels.
Only want 5 ounces.
There we go. You're going to add 5 ounces of this water to your honey mixture. And that should bring it to about a third of, 3/4 of a cup. There, you'll give it a little stir so that it mixes all together and gets a really nice liquidy consistency. You don't want it too thick because then when you add it to the cocktail and add it to the ice, it'll just kind of float to the bottom, sink to the bottom. Yeah. It should be this gorgeous little golden color. There we go. All right. Now, we'll go ahead and,
Ask if anybody has questions.
oh, does anyone have any questions? We got our steeping going, got our syrup almost done. All right. Cool. If everybody's ready, we'll go ahead and move on. So you'll go ahead and get a mixing glass out. We're using a Yari, but if you have a pint glass at home or even a French press, that'll work great. So you'll need that. You'll go ahead and take a measuring cup. This is a 2-ounce jigger. But if you don't have one of these at home, 2 tablespoons is 2 ounces as well. Yeah. So you'll go ahead and take your infusion. Should be bright purple by now. Give it a little swish. And you'll measure out 2 ounces of that. Yeah. Oh, it's such a lovely color. Inch more. It's my Yari there. All right. After you add your gin, you go ahead and add 1/4 ounce of your syrup. If you tend to like your drinks a little sweeter, you can go for a 1/2 ounce, but because it's honey, it's already pretty sweet. And the last touch of this cocktail is going to be that Amaro. We're going to add just a bar spoon of it. You don't need very much. It's a pretty flavorful Amaro. So just a tiny splash will do ya. And if you don't have this, if you want to recreate this cocktail and you don't have any more Amaro or you can't quite find this one, celery bitters are a great alternative. They have the same kind of vegetal flavor and the bitterness that you're going to need to kind of brighten this cocktail up. Here. Now we're going to add some ice to it. You always want to add your ice last. That way you don't water down any of your cocktail before you're ready to pour it. And you'll grab a spoon or a chopstick or, you know, a butter knife and you'll give it a little stir. Now, there's actually a scientific number of stirs to a cocktail. It's anywhere from 20 to 30 seconds, but I like to consider it 25 rotations. And you should get the perfect consistency. It won't be watered down. You'll still be able to taste all your spirits. And it'll just be a more flavorful cocktail. Now, the difference in shaking and stirring is very big on cocktails like this. When you shake a cocktail, you add about an ounce worth of water to it, whereas if you stir it, you add anywhere from 1/4 to a 1/2 ounce. So it makes a huge difference. The rule for that one is typically if there's juice in your cocktail, you give it a shake, and if there's spirits only or syrups only, you just give it a stir. For this one, I'm going to be using a big cube as well, which kind of prevents further dilution. But, you know, regular ice cubes will also work. You'll just have to maybe drink your cocktail a tiny bit faster. Good. Get that in there. Perfect. All right. Now, Now, once cocktail's ready in your yari, get a little strainer. You'll strain it over your big cube. Go. Oh, such a beautiful color. The fun thing about pea flower in dyeing is it's a pH indicator as well. So if you add lemon juice or anything acidic to it, it'll go from this bluish purple color to this like really vibrant, bright violet purple. Yeah. So it's great if you make like ice cubes out of it and add it to a lemonade. It's stunning. All right. And then once we have a cocktail, we're gonna add our garnish, which is just a lemon peel. Take one more peel. Make it a little pretty. And then you'll express it over the top of the glass. And drop it in. And there you have it. Beautiful purple blue moon Hendrick's Lunar Old Fashioned. Oh, that's fantastic. Does anybody have any questions or comments on the cocktail?
I think somebody needs the recipe for the syrup again.
Oh, sure. Yeah, the syrup is going to be 1 cup of water with 5 to 6 sprigs of lavender, the peel of 2 whole lemons. You can either zest it or you can put the peels in directly. And then you will put in the honey from your kit. It's the perfect amount. And then you'll add 5 ounces of your lemon lavender water to the honey. And that should make your syrup.
And
How much of the completed syrup goes into the drink? Because my syrup just, like, I haven't even mixed the water with the honey yet. I'm about to.
It's only a 1/4 ounce of the syrup, so it'll actually be
Okay. Okay.
And we dropped in the conventional measurements in tablespoons in the chat too. So like Carlee said, 2 ounces is 2 tablespoons and a 1/4 ounce is a 1/2 tablespoon.
Yep. Or I guess a 1/4 ounce would be like a teaspoon, where 1 tablespoon is 1 ounce.
Cool.
Yeah.
Ask if everyone's caught up.
Hmm?
Ask if everyone's caught up.
Yeah, is everybody kind of caught up? We're still waiting on some syrups.
My drink looks a lot smaller than yours. I'm wondering if I missed something. I'm making a double and it's, not that much because it's only gin and a little tablespoon of syrup, right?
Right, it would be, let's see, well, it would be actually a teaspoon of syrup. If you do 1 measured out, like maybe not like a metal spoon, but like your measurement spoons, 2 of those is 2 ounces. And of course, my drink might look a little taller as well, just because we used a large cube. So I can take it out to show you the actual amount.
Oh, okay. That's a little closer, but that's like,
That's about right.
yeah.
There's a base on that.
Okay, that helps. Thank you. It's very pretty.
Yeah, 1 ounce is 2 tablespoons.
1 ounce is 2 tablespoons. Okay, so it'd be 4 tablespoons to
Yep.
make 2 ounces.
Yep.
It's delicious. Can you top with like tonic if you wanted to like mix it
Yeah.
up?
You can top it with tonic. That would be delicious. It would pretty much become like almost like a Tom Collins.
Okay.
There's
Might be
another
my next
cocktail-
move.
There's another cocktail you can make with this as well. So you don't have to like throw your lemons away. You can juice them and make a bee's knees with it. And I actually brought a few things up so I can show you what that would look like too. A bee's knees is super simple. It's 2 ounces of your gin. Need a little extra. So you put 2 ounces of the gin. Yeah. Top this off a little bit. Very good. We're going to top it off a little. And see, I just poured some right over the wet pea flowers, and it's already purple. It's really incredibly fast. So top that off. 2 ounces of gin. 1 ounce of lemon. And instead of it being a 1/4 ounce like you did in your old fashioned, you're going to do a 1/2 ounce of your syrup. Add some ice to your shaker. A little shake. About 10 to 15 seconds is perfect for shaking. Drain it a little bit.
Carlee, will you tell us those measurements for the bee's knees again?
Yeah, the bee's knees is 2 lemon, one juice, 1 lemon juice, and then 1/2 ounce of honey. Okay. Go ahead and strain this into a glass. There we go. Ah, there it is. There we go. Straight through. And there's that gorgeous violet color from the acid and the lemon. I'll hold them up next to each other so you can see the difference. So you get a blue pea flower over here, and then you get this gorgeous violet color. Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah. Does anybody have any questions, or is everybody caught up? I can go over any of these steps again.
Good. I say good.
We're getting some thumbs up.
Yeah.
What's
Has anyone just given up and started drinking the gin yet?
also a great move to make. Yeah, this gin is really fantastic. It can go, you can do a just a regular martini with maybe a splash of Lillet or splash of vermouth and a lemon twist, and it'll be a really, really gorgeous cocktail.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Can you-
Juan gave you all enough pea flowers that you all
Anyone else?
should be able to make more cocktails
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
with your gin.
About plenty in the kit, so you'll be able to make, you know, other cocktails. You'll be able to infuse. You can put in some rice. You can add it to like ice cubes, like I said earlier.
You can infuse an entire bottle of gin. The entire bottle of gin that comes with your kit, you can infuse with the little amount of flowers that we put in it.
Yeah.
Carla, can I have one of your cocktails, please?
Oh, sure.
I'll bring it over. Like, can you talk about? Can you talk about Amaro and what Amaro is
Oh,
and why
yeah.
you use it instead of bitters and?
Yeah, we decided to use this Amaro instead of bitters because of its bitter qualities. It's made with roots and herbs and bark, and it's stewed down, and then kind of like rusted and aged in barrels. That's where you get like a lot of this like rich characteristic in the dark color. Back in the day, made by monks, and now it's kind of like been passed on into families. And this one's really special. I found out today that it's still handmade. So they still put it in little kettles and they boil it themselves, and then they strain it all out and it's aged. Yeah, and it's a 4th generation, which is really nice.
Carlee, the other day I came in and I heard and I tasted actually the house-made Amaro. Is that something that's going to be permanent, or can I just sneak in and grab a bottle?
Oh yeah, it's our own little proprietary blend. So we take a lot of different Amaros and then we mix them together in our own little amounts to make our own fun house blend.
Y'all on the call, I recommend it. It's quite delightful.
Oh, it's so good. We have a brunch cocktail as well where we add that to a shot of espresso with a lemon twist, and it's really delicious. It's a great twist on like a boozy drink where usually you would encounter like whiskey and coffee. So it's very Italian. Yeah. Another fun fact is in the 1940s, gin old fashions were like all the rage, and one of the first instances of the old fashioned being in a cocktail book in the 1890s. It was also made with gin. So traditionally it's gin, a sweetener, a bitter, and a twist of lemon.
It's delicious.
So good.
Which one's the favorite? Is the old fashioned the favorite, or is the bee's knees the favorite? Nobody. Everybody's drinking.
Bees knees.
I'm enjoying the
like them
bee's
both.
knees.
Bees knees.
I love the bee's knees.
Bee's knees.
Oh,
Bee's knees
yeah.
all the way.
I've had bee's knees with lavender in them before, and typically they're referred to as a royal bee's knees when there's lavender in it. Oh.
Cool.
Yeah, and I guess it really works on this count since it's purple. So you have a royal purple bee's knees.
Yeah.
Oh.
Right on. Great job. Does
What I
any-
love about these cocktail classes, you all are teaching us about all these infusions, and it's something that we do in all of our cocktails at the Battery, right? We're making all of these infusions and juices and things like that. I know we have just launched a new spring cocktail menu that also has infused gin, right?
It does, yeah. We infuse a Spanish gin Mahone with the pea flowers as well, and that's our version of a gin and tonic. It's kind of like, we have an elderflower gin and a little bit of lemon, and we have a large cube, and then we float the purple on the top, and it's a gorgeous little cocktail. But you can use just about anything to infuse gin or vodka or even tequilas and whiskeys. It's really easy too. Usually you just add it to your bottle. And let it sit for a couple days, and then you strain it out, and it keeps the flavor. Yeah, it's a really popular thing in modern cocktail bars. And actually, I think the amount of pea flower that we sent out is enough to infuse the whole bottle. If you'd like a whole bottle of purple gin.
And to infuse the bottle, do you just infuse it in the bottle the gin's already in? You're just adding the pea flowers and then leaving it.
Yeah, you definitely can. I would suggest pouring it into maybe like a pitcher or like a big measuring cup, and then straining out the pea flowers afterwards, just so they don't break down in your gin bottle and you don't get little bits in there.
Got it.
Yeah. And I think even the flowers that you've used to infuse just this little bit can be reused to infuse everything else as well.
What are some of your favorite infusion combinations that you have done in-house?
Ooh, in-house, we did a Thai chili tequila infusion a couple years back, and used that in a few cocktails. It's really fantastic if you like spicy margaritas or spicy mezcal margaritas. You don't even have to worry about having chilies on hand. You just already have a spiced one. Let's see, we have a coconut washed Aperol right now as well, which is really, really fun. And that's from, you mix in coconut oil into the Aperol, cool it, and then you can pull all the coconut oil off the top, and it leaves it with this really lovely tropical flavor. Yeah, we'll actually be debuting a cocktail with that infusion in the Musto when we open up in a few weeks. Oh yeah, we made special bowls for it. Let me show you one of them. Let's pick a pretty one.
You're right, Rochelle. Science is so delicious. It's
Science
amazing.
is tasty.
It really is.
And so these are made out of beet sugar. It's called isomalt. And what we did is we melted it down and dripped it over balloons, and then let it harden and popped the balloons that were underneath. And it's mixed in with Fruity Pebbles, which is kind of the flavor that you're going to get from this coconut Aperol as well. But yeah, we have some really exciting fun things coming up in the next few weeks.
I had extra of the tea syrup left over. You can save it and use it for other stuff, I'm wondering.
You definitely can, yeah. We gave some to our barista a couple days ago to play around with, and he made a oat milk latte with it, which is really fantastic. But my favorite was a golden milk. So he took some, we took some steamed milk, and we added in an ounce of this, and it was fantastic. It was really, really delicious, and it's definitely a sleepy time treat. It's like you have a glass of that and you're ready for bed. I also like adding it to just kind of like ice water, and you make this really delicate tea, like like a daytime sipping tea, which is also really wonderful. Oh, let's see, what else can you use that's left over?
So are you saying if we come in and ask for these, we might get a nice surprise?
Yeah, we should be able to make it. I believe in kind of getting ready for this cocktail class, we made a whole bottle of the syrup beforehand. And we'll have it on hand. So if you'd like to try one here, we'd be happy to make you one.
I'll be there tomorrow. At 7:15. I'm not gonna get.
I'll be here all day,
Rochelle,
so-
never disappoints.
Be there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Where do you find lavender stems? Because like obviously, I mean, and can you and should you pick lavender, like wild lavender, and use it for this kind of stuff, or should you buy it from like Whole Foods?
Surprisingly, in the Bay, there's tons and tons of lavender, and yeah, most of the time you can pick it and use it as long as you just kind of wash it in your sink a little bit. You're good to go, and it's all blooming right now too. So those flowers can be picked and dried, and then you can have like a really beautiful garnish to go with your cocktails too.
Yeah, I think we gave everybody some of the flowers. That's for garnish too, in case we forgot to
Yeah.
mention that.
Yeah, the lavender.
Wonderful.
For you non-kidders, I got lavender flowers on the Amazon.
There you go.
There we go.
There you go. There's my favorite place to get lavender is on the way up to Twin Peaks. There's a few bushes, but that's my secret spot, so don't tell anybody.
Yeah. Fairy Building Farmers Market sometimes has them too. I've seen
Yeah.
they sell
Yeah.
lavender.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always best to use what's seasonal because you'll find it at the farmer's market. It's usually the best, and it's it's blooming and it's going to be so aromatic and it's going to make a difference in your cocktails.
Yeah, a fun twist is if you want to kind of like transition this into summer or away from a sleepy time, with lavender being so like readily available in the Bay, you can also find fennel, and fennel adds a really nice like kind of almost like an absinthe type quality to the syrup, and it's a really delicious twist as well.
You can dye absinthe.
Ooh, yes. I wonder what color that would turn, because when you add water to absinthe, it turns like that greenish.
Yeah, that's the fun part about butterfly pea flowers. You don't really know what you're gonna get. We did a shrub with the butterfly pea flower, and the vinegar turned it bright pink. It was lovely.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah, it was really nice.
That makes sense. It turned
Yeah.
violet with a little bit of lemon, so
Yeah.
higher acid will get you a brighter pink color.
Yeah, something turns it yellow, but I can't remember what it is. I'm sure. I don't know if that is very appealing to the eye.
I mean, also if you've got kids, it's a great alternative to like watercolor paints. So you can always just mix it with a little bit of water and give them a sheet of paper and a paintbrush, and there you go. I believe I've seen it used to dye clothing as well. It dyes it this like really pale pink color.
Yeah. We normally have some sort of spirit dyed with butterfly pea flower. We love it so much. So if you're ever looking for an interesting colored cocktail, you can always just do a bartender's choice with butterfly pea infused spirit, and we'll have it on hand. And you're gonna wow your guests or yourself.
I had the other day someone came in and wanted just a really zhuzhed up version of a dirty martini, and we wound up using some of the dyed gin for it. And it was just I've never seen a purple dirty martini.
It was me. I ordered two. I'm really not kidding. It was me. It was
They
me.
were gorgeous. I was really excited to make them.
And I ordered the garnish on the side because I just wanted the purple and shaken really icy. That was me.